You're watching a Throttle House track test. Montage.
Look at that.
Welcome to the Throttle House test track, our very own corner of the world where we can drag race and set lap times. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James, and today we have the Honda Civic Type R, the Veloster N, and the Golf R.
As usual, this is not about practicality or fuel economy, this is about performance.
And today's sponsor is Krown Rust Control. If you don't already know, Krown is a service that protects used and new cars from rust. The application is super comprehensive. I know tons of people that swear by it. I actually got my WRX crowned recently so that it could last another 250,000 kilometers.
Yeah, I was actually going to get my Volvo crowned, but I decided to let James have that one.
No, your Volvo didn't start that morning.
Basically, you have a car, car's rust, get it crowned, period.
Let's start with the Honda Civic Type R. A 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo puts out 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It's the most powerful here. It has a brilliantly designed suspension and track-focused engineering, but from our experience, it doesn't seem to crack off the line quite like it should. So it might struggle a bit in this drag race, especially paired next to the Golf R. This one is a manual as well, but it has all-wheel drive. And now down to 288 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, it's going to rely on its ability to power all 4 wheels to win.
In 2-litre turbo direct injection land, the lightest man is king. This is the fully decked out Veloster N, with 275 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. So it is still definitely the underdog despite its weight advantage, but it's also massively the cheapest, and we still get goodies like independent rear suspension and an LSD.
So remember, this isn't a prepped drag surface, it's just like a normal road. So this is what would happen if these 3 cars pulled up to a stoplight. Before you watch this race, subscribe so that you can catch lots more content just like this. And follow us on Instagram at The Throttle House.
All right, Honda Civic Type R. I'm actually quite light because I'm front-wheel drive, and I'm pretty positive that I'm going to beat that Veloster N off the line because I have wider, stickier tires. But I don't think I'm going to beat the Golf R off the line. The question is, can I catch up and pass the Golf R? I don't know, because I have more horsepower and I'm lighter, so that's the big question. James doesn't matter. He's going to be last. But can I beat the Golf R?
Okay, I'm in the Veloster N, and I am rooting for this thing because I want to give it the justice it deserves. It's the new kid on the block. I'm going to do a proper front-wheel drive launch. Don't want to get too much wheel spin. At the same time, I might be hard-pressed here because even though this is the lightest, it's also got the least amount of horsepower. So I'm going to have to try pretty hard to make this happen.
All right, here we go. Good launch, good launch.
Okay, here we go. Golf streamed ahead. Type R's behind me.
Come on, turbo! Come on! Just pull!
Oh no! No! Oh no! The Type R's just taking me right at the end! Right at the end! Oh no! How's that for cinematic?
Oh my God! That thing just hauled off the line. I couldn't believe it. That
Unbelievable.
was awesome. I got you.
Right at the end.
I got
me.
you though, but it counts. It counts.
Dude, the Golf R had us. But because this isn't super sticky,
on a sticky surface,
the Type R would have him.
The Type R would have this, I think. Yeah. I just honestly putting it into second gear. It was fighting me. It's honestly fighting me. This gear crunch is a real thing, everybody.
All I know is that a Veloster N almost just beat a Civic Type R.
You almost just beat a Civic Type R, but you didn't. That's what counts.
All right, well, let's take it to the racetrack.
Let's do it.
All right, Veloster N racetrack. And I have exhaust pops. So when it comes to sound, this thing has the other 2 pretty beat just because it's so fun. This is good. Oh, this is great. And it bloody goes!
All right, the Golf R. This has a Haldex type all-wheel drive system. VW doesn't like you to call it Haldex, but it's Haldex. It can send up to 50% to the rear, which means that unlike the Focus RS, it can't pull off like power slides, right? But what it does do is it means that you can slingshot out of the corners very effectively.
The compactness of the car means that there's so much like communication with weight transfer. So you can control oversteer and understeer really easily. And the steering feels great. You can just plant it. And then it goes. Now, as we saw on the drag strip, I almost took that Type R on. So this thing is absolutely no slouch on the race course.
So the Veloster N definitely sounds playful, but the Golf R mixes sophistication and fun.
It sounds actually pretty good. The power is so linear. It doesn't you don't get a thunk of boost. It just kind of does what it does.
The ride is too harsh on the street, and it is pretty uncompromising on the track as well. You can see I'm probably jiggling all over the place. So our test track has some really tight corners, and this thing, the front grip is really impressive. I get to really experience it on here. And the front diff is so important for coming out of the corners. You can just absolutely here, come around, and I put the power down, and it just manages that inside wheel perfectly.
Let's see what we can do. A little bit of lift off oversteer. Yeah, it'll do it. One thing I do notice though is that the Golf R, it feels broadly front wheel drive in its nature. The only time you notice the all wheel drive is when you really plant it coming out of a corner and it just goes poof. But out here right now on our test track, I'm having a good time.
I do wish that the red line was a bit longer, like that 6500 red line. It makes me want to be in the gear for longer, especially on the racetrack. Because this thing can put the power down. Oh, that ride is uncompromising.
It's one of those cars that doesn't have a lot of drama. It doesn't feel very fast out here, but it is. Brakes are pretty powerful too, because rotates under brakes too, as it turns out. Trail braking!
Let's see if I can get this thing out of hand a bit.
This is a fun car. This is a fun car. You kind of have to know how to drive it though. It doesn't give away to its exciting nature until you start to poke it. I'm gonna go find James and we're both gonna go drive the Type R. I'm gonna try and scare him.
I could drive this all day. This is Miata levels of fun. You know what? My money is on the Civic Type R for the hot laps when Thomas drives it, but this might be the Golf R.
This thing is so good.
Why are we doing it together, Thomas?
I just want to scare you.
That's way too fast.
Freaking.
All right, let's take it slow.
Let's take it slow.
One of our lives is
we
valuable.
are on a racetrack, James.
One of our lives is valuable.
Down to the second.
Oh my good God.
Oh, that diff. The front end of this is so sharp. Like the turn in is just, let's get a little bit out of hand. What do you think? And lift off oversteer.
Not necessary. Not necessary. For those that don't know, Thomas is a track instructor, which is why he's going to be setting the hot laps today. It doesn't bring me any comfort as a passenger.
Heel tilt into second. I got the auto red match turned off because I want to do it myself. Why would I want the car to do it? I would just drive it DCT.
Okay, let's get into it. How does this feel versus the Golf R?
This is 10,000 times more aggressive than the Golf R.
Yeah.
It is so much sharper, it's difficult to explain. Like, so those little skinny tires mean the front just goes and turns in, right? It's absolutely unbelievably good. I love this car to drive. The fact that it's front wheel drive, are you okay? Are you all right?
Is anyone else warm?
The fact that it's front wheel drive actually does not matter. And how many times have I said that on camera?
What do you mean when it comes to putting the power down?
No, when it comes, it's just like the way that the car feels in the corner. So you just come off the throttle and the nose goes exactly where you want. It's absolutely perfectly dialed in. This is one of those cars where if you put this on coilovers, I'd punch you. Like, unless they're like $10,000 coilovers, you would ruin what is absolutely a masterpiece of a driver's car. Not in a million years would I want any power going to the rear wheels of this.
It feels so good, like this, and the car, even as a passenger, I like these wonderful seats. These seats are the best seats in the game.
These hold you in better than the Veloster N and the Golf R.
Yeah, they just need to put diapers in here. This has the 20-inch wheels, which a lot of people change out to like 18s to make it easier to live with on the road. but on the track, these wheels are what allow you to have such a sense of control.
And in R Plus mode, which I have it in right now.
It's actually plus R mode.
Sorry, plus
I
R
don't like
mode.
the naming of that.
Yeah,
Fix that.
Everything tightens up, it sharpens up. It's just a brilliant car, and honestly, the lap times that you can lay down in this thing are genuinely shocking. They are shocking how fast this thing goes around a track. I still think this is gonna be the fastest one.
Let's see. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, our rules are time attack style, which means Thomas gets 1 warm-up lap, 3 hot laps, and 1 cool-down lap, which means he has to work with the car, and the car has to work with him to set the best possible lap time. And as you can see behind me, he's currently testing the Veloster N, and hopefully he comes back in one piece. Otherwise, I'm going to be setting 3 warm-ish laps.
Alright, let's take a look at the best lap in each. You might notice how it looks like I'm driving one car harder than another. I'm not. What you're actually seeing is that some cars will just let you carry more speed through a corner because of their suspension setup, tires, and alignment. I made sure that I got the highest possible cornering speeds out of each of these cars. Also, if you have seen our M2 versus Type R video, we were expecting the Type R here to be a tiny bit slower than that day as the conditions weren't quite as favorable and the track didn't have as much grip. Let's watch.
Lap times.
Can you please put us out of our misery?
What do you think?
The Type R looked like it was going the fastest. The Golf R, I don't know, it looked good. I had a lot of squeaking and squealing. This was popping.
It was doing some
They
pops.
all looked really quick, but I think the Type R looked the fastest.
You're not ready for this.
Okay.
You're not ready for this.
I'm listening.
Okay. Veloster N did 118.62.
Wow, that's very good actually.
That's actually quite quick.
Yeah.
The Golf R did a 120 dead.
Ooh, okay, so Veloster N beating Golf R.
No one is ready for what I'm about to say right now.
It looked so fast.
This is a 120. This did a 115.63.
Oh, wow. Well, that's conclusive then.
5 on a short track, that is an age. That is an insanely, it's so fast. Here, I'll tell you the 5-second version. That rotated really well, so it was easier to drive fast.
Okay.
This was faster out of the corners, but I couldn't get any real front grip out of it to do the tight stuff as quickly as that. And this is just faster and better at everything.
Well, there's a reason we put it up against the M2 competition, which,
right.
if you haven't seen, is already on our channel.
Which one would you buy?
Honestly, this could cost $5 more, and I think it'd still be my choice. This is a bargain.
Right now, just to save the money, I would buy the Veloster N.
Yeah.
It's so fun, it
But
rotates
I love
well.
the Type R.
The Type R is so fast.
I think the Type R is my favorite.
For the daily, if we talk about the winter time, this is the one to have.
Yes.
But right now, on this track, for fun, I would take the Veloster N.
So the Golf R is the most livable. The Type R is by far and away the fastest, but the Veloster N is the most fun. That means there really isn't a perfect hot hatch for us right now. But we can go home happy, knowing that there is a car that fills each void.